Here's a little bit more from Stephanopoulos and his take on where we are right now.
In 1774, John Adams said, representative government and trial by jury are the heart and lungs of liberty. 250 years later, the heart and lungs of liberty are facing what may be the ultimate stress test. Jurors have yet to consider charges against Trump for even more serious crimes, blocking the peaceful transfer of power, concealing classified documents, encouraging the filing of false electors. But for now, the New York jurors have already presented their fellow citizens with a choice. Do we want to be represented, to be led for the first time in history by a convicted felon?
Now, is it any wonder he did not get the debate? He got the heave-ho on the debate. ABC chose two other people and not their chief political correspondent. And that is why, because ABC News in that choice is acknowledging he is biased. He can't be fair. Hello, we all know that. That's why he didn't get chosen. He's owning it more and more on the air, and it's ruining ABC's reputation.
And they're letting him keep that platform. It's not, I mean, so take him off the debate, but he's still the anchor of your Sunday show and your chief political correspondent. Right. You know that he was like in the Hamptons in like a his personal library that like smells of leather-bound books and rich mahogany, like the Anchorman line, just like getting very excited about what he just wrote, like maybe even sexually excited about what he just wrote. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, especially in a case where you have all of the different problems that the media ignored that we talked about earlier. This is not cut and dry. It was novel legal theory. There was all kinds of funny business going on. The judge donated to the opposition leader. Yeah. The other campaign.
Yes. And the name of the group that he earmarked the money for was about as leftist as it was, like the campaign to stop Republicans and their far right agenda. Yes, make sure my money goes there.
And I'm getting lectures on John Adams, the heart and lungs of liberty from George Stephanopoulos, a Clinton staffer on ABC?
Right.
Give me a break.
I know, like, would the average person sitting and listening to that at home have any idea who George is rooting for in this? If this is the choice we face.
He's rooting for democracy.
Right, sure. All right, but no one was worse than, I think it's fair to say, Joy Behar, who gave, from the Department of TMI. This was Joy on The View on Friday.
What was your reaction? Well, my reaction was I was at Costco buying, 10 boxes of Keurig coffee, and my watch started to buzz, and I got so excited I started leaking a little bit.
Okay, just when you didn't think you could be more upset, you have to picture Joy Behar's vagina. I'm sorry.
Leaking at a Costco.
I don't want it. I didn't want any of the events that happened late last week. What's going on? Why? There's such a thing as TMI. There really is. Like, it was inappropriate. She's inappropriate. It was disgusting. And no one wants to be thinking about that. But on the larger point, that's how rabid they are. Mm-hmm. Like, it literally caused her to pee her pants. She was so excited to see Donald Trump convicted. Like a 3-year-old seeing Goofy at Disney for the first time.
Well, imagine then you're having to make this decision about sentencing, and your biggest fans are the people that viscerally they have a lust for Trump to go to prison. Mm-hmm. So that's why I still don't rule it out. Yeah, I wouldn't put money on it, but I still don't rule it out because that's who he's responsive to. And she is representative of such a tiny, tiny slice of the population. And I don't deny that it's real. I don't think it's exclusively rich white women who watch MSNBC. I'm sure there are some other people who really, really hate Trump and want him to go to prison. But it's not the majority of the country on this case. It just isn't. And this is where this was the battle they chose, the hill they chose to die on.
I said this on Friday, but I heard more of it over the weekend. You could actually hear the smiles, like in some of the podcasts and the radio broadcasts about this verdict. And then when you watched some of the, leftist media, there it was again. It's like, but for the word hallelujah, it's all in there. They're just overjoyed. Here's a little, speaking of joys, from Joy Behar to Joy Reid. Watch this in SOT 15.
This case was brought in a state that no Republican controls. Because if it did, the same thing that happened in Georgia would have happened here. Thank God for the state of New York, Donald Trump's home state, because there was no way for him to interfere with the process of justice. And in this rare instance, as somebody who's quite critical many times of the criminal justice system, the system actually worked the way it is supposed to work.
Oh, my Lord. The same thing that happened in Georgia would have happened here. What? Alvin Bragg would have started stooping his ADA and they would have been outed
And
as
that's
paying
Trump's
the
fault.
ADA more than all the other prosecutors, thus calling everybody's objectivity into question. Because that's what got the Georgia prosecution in danger, not a Republican.
Oh, this like leftist opponent of the criminal justice system also just cheering on a RICO case.
Yeah.
Get him.
Right. Exactly right.
Go for it.
I mean, the system worked. Like, this is the narrative that's being sold. The system worked, law and order, no one's above the law. And that's why you have those big numbers of people who think the jury came to the right decision. Like, he violated the law and we had to hold him accountable. In very few places do you hear the actual truth, which is he actually didn't violate a single law. He actually didn't do anything wrong. It's not just that, like, he did some bad stuff, but it wasn't criminal. He didn't do anything wrong. He really didn't. He paid off people who were extorting him. Honestly, Stormy Daniels is the one who did something wrong. She came at it. She wasn't even threatening a lawsuit, which makes this extortion. She came up and basically said, give me $130,000 or I'm going to tell my story publicly.
Well, I mean, look, probably wasn't great judgment and great moral or ethical behavior to have an affair with the porn star.
Can we talk
Probably
about
not
that?
great.
I want to talk about that. I don't want to defend extramarital affairs by any means. My husband would be dead if he did any of this to me. But I have to say, I don't really have that much sympathy toward their marriage, or I don't know what his deal is with Melania. If they had a covenant for him to be faithful, she would have left long ago. Why is she still there? And she's seen what we've seen, woman after woman after woman after woman, and not just the crazy ones who came out of the woodwork when he was first running. Like, there's been a long history of affairs that seem very credible. There's no way Melania doesn't believe Karen McDougal. That one seems like pretty cut and dried. I just think it's not that I approve of it. I just don't have the moral recoiling that I would if this, we knew, were a real covenant of fidelity between two people. He's very rich. She stayed with him. I'll bet there's a different kind of covenant there.
It's true, and it's of course hard to get inside somebody else's marriage, but like,
I'll do it.
Look, okay,
I'll psychoanalyze them.
Yeah.
You gotta have sympathy for the kid, and it's a crappy thing to do to your kid to have all this splashed out in public.
Well, in his
It's
defense,
crappy.
he tried to stop it from
He
splashing.
did. He did. Okay,
The real hero.
he did.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
crappy. So I agree with you. I don't think it's illegal, but wouldn't have done it.
Is it
Yeah.
immoral if your spouse has no problem with it?
I don't know where she stands. I don't know what their agreement are.
I know, but here's my
You can only
hypothetical.
speculate.
Is it immoral if she has no problem with it?
I don't want to speculate on what her position in
The
all
answer
this
is no. It's not. It's not.
I don't want to speculate on what her position is in this.
Well, that's fine. I'm speculating.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, to me, clearly she doesn't have a problem with it, or she would have been gone.
Well, I don't think she would have married him.
She wouldn't have. Right, exactly. She knew what she was getting. His reputation as a playboy was cemented by the time she married him. He was known as like the richest, biggest playboy in New York. She'd been through a few wives. It was very clear. I'm just saying, you get what you get, and you know what you're getting. We all do. Some people get surprised and they get cheated on. That's one thing. But you marry Donald Trump, you know exactly what you're
can't-
getting. And
I
if she
cannot argue
didn't,
with any of
she
that.
would have been out of here. She would have been, and I don't judge her. It's fine. This is not how my marriage vows work. But some people have a different deal. All right. And it's not, they're going to take it up with the Lord when they get up there. That's between them and him. But down here on this earth, I am not in a position to say whether he committed some transgression on her, because I don't know what their deal is.
You know, it's possible actually that Melania wasn't bothered by the actual affair. If that's true, that she entered into a marriage with a man who was publicly, openly adulterous. And sort of proudly, it was kind of part of his vibe, his image, his shtick. He was selling it. He was actually like selling his adulterousness. That maybe the feigned outrage from the media is not even something that Melania Trump ever experienced.
Right.
It's kind of interesting.
Well, one of the facts that came out of the trial was that when the Access Hollywood tape came out, she was the one who said, dismiss it as locker room talk. Mm-hmm. It was Melania Trump who, it doesn't sound like she was horrified by this, or I'm guessing, and I have no idea, but I'm guessing the deal is you're going to be you. Keep it quiet, or maybe there's an unspoken thing that happens between some couples where it's like, I'm going to look the other way because I understand what kind of a man I married and I don't expect lifetime fidelity, but I don't want to hear about it, right? And maybe the transgression was she wound up hearing about it. All of that would have helped Trump in his trial, right? Like, I promised her the one thing she wouldn't have to do is hear about it. That's why I paid the money. It had nothing to do with my election, whatever. But none of that should have mattered. His subjective reasons for paying the money or having the money paid were totally irrelevant, never should have been allowed in. All right, last but not least, let's do Mehdi Hasan on, was he on MSNBC? Is he going on the network that now fired him? It's so weird. They fire these people and then they invite them back on to do commentary. Here he is.
This is an entire political movement that came to power on the basis of lock her up. This party is based on locking people up to the point where they want to lock up Anthony Fauci for trying to prevent a pandemic. They want to lock up everyone.
Yes.
And then you can't kind of blame them, Eamon, because they think in that mindset. So they think everyone else is like them. So part of me doesn't blame them. In their heads, they probably think, yes, this is the Democrats trying to do to us what we do to them. When ironically, Joe Biden has gone out of his way to not be involved in this trial. In fact, there are Democrats urging Biden, and I'm going to urge the president tonight, to actually speak more about Trump's criminal conviction. Joe Biden should be posting on Twitter every morning and every night, my opponent is a convicted felon. 9 a.m., 9 p.m., he should just schedule the tweets for the next 6 months. But he doesn't. He goes out of his way to stay above the fray.
On the panel for everyone shook their heads, yes, he should be doing all the postings all the time.
Also, Mehdi Hasan saying that this is the party that ran on Lock Her Up. I was thinking the other day, like, James Comey is arguably the guy who's at the top of the mountain having pushed the snowball down the hill. Like, yes, that's exactly the problem, is that Hillary Clinton, for so many Americans, Hillary Clinton, the wife of Bill Clinton, who a lot of people feel like oversaw deindustrialization, lied, got away with it, etc., didn't go to prison or anything like that. They feel like she got it off. She got off so easy. And here's Donald Trump. And it's one political party persecuting another political party because they don't like those voters. And that's really visceral to a lot of people around the country. So he's not saying anything that he's not making them sound contradictory or hypocritical. To even from somebody on the left, an anti-establishment leftist like Mehdi Hasan should say, yeah, lock them all up. Let's do it.
How about the business of Anthony Fauci for trying to prevent the pandemic? Sir, if anything, the evidence suggests Anthony Fauci may have caused the pandemic through that very group we were just discussing, EcoHealth Alliance, funding gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. The truth is never going to come in black and white because the Chinese won't allow us access to the data. But there's more than enough evidence to make that conclusion. And I have made it. That is my opinion. But he certainly didn't prevent the pandemic. The lies just at like every turn. So in any event, my own feeling is Trump should ride this wave for a little while, and he should be righteously indignant over what just happened to him and to us, the American public and our legal system. The rule of law was breached, but not by Trump, by them, in this extraordinary extra-legal prosecution of a former president of the United States and chief political opponent to the sitting president. And he should ride that piece of it, But very soon he should pivot to just the key issues that were driving people to him even before this week, right? Immigration, inflation, the economy, whether you were better 4 years ago than you are now, Joe Biden's age and infirmity, and all of it. Being in debt is like sinking in quicksand. You're trapped. You feel helpless. And the harder you struggle, the deeper in debt you can get. If you are trapped in debt, let me throw you a lifeline. Done with Debt. Done with Debt has created a new strategy with one goal in mind, to get you out of debt quickly and permanently. Done with Debt stands between you and your bill collectors. Then they negotiate a plan to end your debt permanently, without bankruptcy and without loans. They can get you out of debt quickly and put more cash in your pocket monthly. But you need to contact Done with Debt right away because some debt solutions expire. It's easy to get started. Just go to donewithdebt.com and get a free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Talk with one of their experts about a strategy that will end your debt faster and easier than you thought possible. Visit donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.